There we go. Greetings everybody and welcome to my Space Engineers Beginner's Guide. This is episode 16. I don't believe we've done 16 episodes so far. Anyway, here on Twitch I go by the name of Malbathla, as you can see probably on the Twitch page of course. On the workshop and in Steam I'm known as Calidan, C-A-L-I-D-A-N. By all means feel free to look me up and check out some of my workshop items. There's only a couple there, but there will be more coming. Anyway, if you've been following along, you'll recall that yesterday we were talking about pistons and rotors, and I got rather sidetracked and we went off for an extra half an hour and I showed off some of my creations on an alien world. I don't regret doing that. Definitely not. I like showing my stuff off. I think I've got some pretty cool stuff. I'm just very hesitant to put them on the workshop, although I've been revising that and you may see some new stuff coming up soon. Anyway, back to our beginner's guides. I've been having a look at what else we can cover. Now, we've looked at refineries, we've looked at assemblers, we've looked at arc furnaces, we've looked at, well, yes, we have looked at the upgrades, I believe, right early in the piece. Haven't really looked at weapons. As you notice, we've got a whole array of different weapons here, and for this I'm going to do what I did yesterday, believe it or not. I'm going to turn on the creative tools just so that we can build them rather than have it build them immediately as opposed to actually having to weld them up. There we go. So let's just jump over to an empty toolbar here. Empty toolbar, there we go. And let's have a look. We've got internal turret, Gatling turret, missile. Can't use Gatling gun because that's utilised on ships. Can't use rocket launchers because that's utilised on large grid ships and small grids. And that's just small grids as well. But we've also got this Warhead. We'll have a look at that as well. These are offensive items. No, they're not offensive as in they offend us. They're offensive as in they are designed to attack. So let's just lay some of these out here. Oh, running out of space. Actually, no, we're not running out of space. For this one, we're going to go over here somewhere. 4. Are we far enough? Yes, I think we're far enough. Let's just put you there. We will come back to this one. And yes, I have put it far enough away, I think. I hope. Okay. Now, what do we have here? We have guns and rockets. This is an interior turret. An interior turret is generally used inside bases, and it makes use of this ammunition, the 5.56 by 45 millimeter ammunition that's used in our automatic rifle. And I know I haven't covered it, but let's just come in here, our automatic rifle, let's just stick it on our toolbar, and there's our gun. And our gun is pretty neat. We can just shoot where the crosshair is, as you can see, or we can hit a right mouse button and now we can aim up. No, we won't aim at you. And now we've got a little bit more control, if you will, about where we're shooting. And if you notice on our toolbar, it shows us how much ammunition we've got left. So yeah, off the hip or more precise. So this is an interior turret that makes use of exactly the same ammunition. So it's utilised basically, I think it's an anti-personnel weapon more than anything, to help defend your base against illegal intrusions. This one, this Gatling, it makes use of large ammunition. It makes use of, do I have, no, we're not going to see it there. Close. Just find a console. Here we go. Production. It makes use of this stuff. 25 by 184mm ammo. That is what is required by this big Gatling. Now, it's got a lot of different configuration. In fact, I believe so is this one. Let's have a look. If we have a look here, we can shoot at meteors, missiles, small ships, large ships, characters, stations, and neutrals. Now, everything's turned on except for missiles, so it will shoot at any of the above. Hostile versions, of course, so not in your faction, or not in its faction, I should say. The big Gatling, it's very much the same. It's got a range, in fact so does the other one, interior turret. It's got a range as well, up to 800 meters. Gatling's got a range up to 800 meters. It's got the same sort of configurations. The difference is it uses a conveyor system. Now, why does it use a conveyor system? Well, if we have a look at the bottom of it, you notice we've got a large conveyor connector. That is so that it can pull its ammunition from a centralized source. You can leave your ammunition in your big cargo container as long as it is connected to a conveyor coming through to your Gatling. As required, the Gatling will pull its ammunition from your central source. It pulls it across into it so that it's got it on hand. Now, the third one we've got here is a missile launcher. It makes use of this stuff. And because I don't have any platinum, No, that's right, I don't have platinum. I can't build them, but it makes use of the 200mm missiles, and it's very much the same as the Gatling. It's got the same sort of aiming range. It's got the same sort of conditions, and it also pulls its stuff through a conveyor system. Now, if we come around to the other side here, we can access it directly through an inventory. So you can actually just manually fill it with, you don't have to put on a conveyor system, you can just manually put missiles in there and it will use them. And same with our large Gatling over here. We come around the other side and we can access it and put ammunition straight into it. And even our interior turret, actually has no conveyor system. It's this little bar down the bottom here. It's like a magazine, and we can do that. Okay, it's now got one bullet in there, and I probably regret this. I don't know what it was shooting at. I think it was just shooting up in the air. I hope it was. But yeah, as you can see, it uses the ammunition that we use in our gun here as well. So yeah, all three of them you can just manually add ammunition into them, but the large Gatling turret and missile launcher, if you have a look at the bottom of the missile launcher as well, and it's got a conveyor port at the bottom as well, so it will sit nicely on a conveyor and it will pull its ammunition directly from some central repository, or actually anywhere in the conveyor network that it can actually pull through to. Now, the other item I put in over here is called a Warhead. It is basically just a big bomb. It doesn't have a range, it doesn't have anything other than a huge amount of explosive ability. And if we just have a look in here, Warhead, there we go, we can set a countdown, detonation time, start countdown, stop countdown, so we can set it on a timer. We can arm it. Now, until you arm the Warhead, it is actually safe. For example, we'll just step back here, we can grab a gun. It didn't detonate. However, if we arm it, armed, and I will just take a few extra steps back, people. Should be enough, I think. Oh, and I'm out of ammo. Look at that. Well, let's just quickly fly on over here. And here, tell it to give us some more. Come on. Come on. Oh, actually, it's not going to pull them through. That's going to be fun. Let's just go to our assembly. We have to pull it straight off the assembler because we haven't got it set up to actually pull it through the conveyor sorter. Okay, that's better. I'm surprised. In the past, as soon as you armed the warhead, if it got hit with some gunfire, it would actually detonate. Obviously they've fixed that. However, let's give ourselves, oh no, 10 seconds should be fine. Start countdown. Let's just back away, back away. There we go. And come on, 10 seconds. Boom. Oh, we didn't hear anything. Didn't see anything. Well, that's a bit of an oversight. Don't need to fix that. But yeah, there we go, look at that. Huge big crater caused by it. So, yeah, no. Okay, well, we can't actually go through there. As you can see, the wall is actually there. It's just a graphical glitch there. But yes, a warhead is a very powerful destructive device. And a lot of enemy bases make use of them as a self-destruct mechanism. Now, the way they do that is we have, for example, Warhead, and then they actually add to the warhead a sensor. Now, we haven't actually covered sensors either, so we might as well do so right now. We just add a sensor here. A sensor detects things. It's probably the easiest way to explain it. That's all it does. Now, fortunately with the game, we can actually highlight this. Let's just come in here and we'll turn on show sensor fields. And in our control panel for our sensor, we'll show in HUD. Now we've got this red box around it. This shows us the sensor range. Anything that falls within this box will be read by the sensor. Now you notice if you look at the sensor, around here it's a pale bluey colour, sky blue colour. When we step inside it turns green. I know it's hard to actually see, but it does actually change. But the size of this sensor range can be changed, as you can see. We can change it down to 2 meters by 2 meters by, let's just do a full 2 meter cube thing. Well, actually it's a 4 meter cube. 2 either side, 2 back and forward, 2 up and down. There we go. So now when we get closer, see it's a blue colour, green, blue, green, blue, green. But it also detects off various things. It can detect the player, which is what we're doing at the moment, but it can detect these other things: large ship stations, subgrids, asteroids, as well as types: friendly, neutral, enemy. And what I have seen is a lot of cases under setup actions, they've got the left. See, there's only 2 items here on the toolbar for it. The left is when it detects when something enters the field. The right is when something exits the field. Yeah, it's not just a simple detect and do something. It's to do something when it comes in, do something when it leaves. And what they do is they have this set on the detect and have it set for detonate. And I'm not going to do that because I don't particularly want it to do that. What they actually do is they normally, what I've seen is it's tied to a timer block. The timer block actually arms it and then detonates it after a certain period of time. Hello, old grumpy 11. Welcome. I'm just going over some of the weapons that are used in the games, or the types of weapons in the game, including the warhead here, and thought I'd cover sensors at the same time because I know in the easy start missions and some of the larger bases, I've just come from a survival game where I had to take out one of the pirate headquarters, and I know for a fact that they've got warheads and sensors set up as booby traps in there, all tied into timers, so if you get too close trying to disarm them, it actually detonates them. So I was just basically covering all those things as well. I don't particularly want to detonate my base here, but we could certainly do it. I mean, on our sensor here, for example, on the setup, on entering here, we could, for example, arm the warhead, and then on leaving the sensor range, we could do a detonate. For example, so it's safe when a person enters, and whilst they're inside the sensor field, yeah, not a problem, nothing's going to happen. As soon as they step outside, bang, off she goes. And especially if you had, it would certainly take out a base, it would certainly destroy resources and materials that they might want to use. It's not necessarily an anti-personnel version of it, but it certainly would take out a base and stop a base being taken over too much. I know on the pirate headquarters they have it tied to a timer, where as soon as you send it into the range, it triggers off a sound block, intruder detected, all that sort of jazz. It arms the warhead, and then after a period of time it detonates it. So there's a good chance of taking out the intruder at the same time. So whilst those over there specifically target types of items, this one is very much just a pure destruction item. Pretty cool, I like it. I've played around with them a bit myself. I've used them for mining asteroids, actually. Well, not so much mining asteroids, but mining out an interior of an asteroid to set up a base inside one. I've got a base set up inside an asteroid that was actually created that exact same way. I used a rather large grid mining ship to cut a nice big huge rectangular hole into the side of the asteroid, which made a really nice runway. And then I stuck a warhead right down deep inside it, and I opened up a big spherical opening inside, and I built my whole base inside of that. So I've seen it done. I've seen people use it to do mining on planets as well. It's not just to take out people or bases. It can be quite useful for a lot of other things. But yeah, we also went over the missile launcher, the Gatling main Gatling turrets, how they're conveyable, and the interior Gatling as well, interior turret. Yeah, they are very good for removing large amounts of materials to get down deep very, very quickly. We saw that just before over there. I detonated a single warhead, and whilst we didn't hit resources, it certainly did get down to the rock level in a single blast, and then it did it again. Graphical glitches. Yes, so we got down to rock level in one blast rather than mining through all this ice. So yeah, they can be used for mining, definitely. They can be quite useful for it. I've seen people use them, put them on the end of a piston, for example. Drive a piston down in through a single drill hole down to a full 10 meters, and then detonate a small grid warhead down the bottom of that to mine things out rapidly. We could also now, for example, drop another warhead down. Oh, actually, let's do it. What the hell? Just stick another warhead down the bottom here. In this case, we'll just come in here. Now, I've got no power on this, but I have got creative seals turns on. I don't know whether that actually makes a difference to whether it's powered or not. I think the warheads must have their own internal power. Yeah, more graphical glitches and more ice crumbs. No, I thought so. So yeah, you can certainly... Yeah, that's our manual mine. So you can certainly use it to mine quite quickly, especially if you've got the resources to be able to manufacture the warheads. It's very quick to just throw a water, and you're opening up a huge big hole. The only other time I've created a huge big circular opening like this is a mining platform arrangement that I use in my survival games, which drills a good, well, my default rig drills a nice 25 meter diameter hole, pretty much like this, circular hole straight down. Yeah, I thought they must have had their own power. I've done the same thing under a survival game. I've actually got creative tools turned on at the moment just so I could actually show off these things without having to sit there and weld them up. And as you notice, I'm flying around with 0 hydrogen, but hey, that's cool. use Gatlings. I use these all the time. Most people do, especially if you've got disasters turned on, meteor storms. Meteor storms, even on normal, come very, very frequently. So you really do need to have meteor deterrents. So Gatlings, those large ones, are the best for that. They've got the range for it. Even though the small interior ones here, interior Gatlings, interior turrets, have got an 800 meter range, they don't have the firepower behind them. They're actually just a standard small automatic weapons fire type magazine. They're not got the same punch that these ones over here have got. They do a really good job of stopping most meteors anyway. Okay, let's clear the mountain. And missiles, I actually don't use missiles all that much. I think they're probably more useful on ships, not so much the turret ones, but I think from the little I've done in the past, I find them more useful on large grid ships for space battles more than on the planet. Fixed. I don't know. I know there was an issue with the large Gatlings at one stage there. They wouldn't target anything other than basically connectors. If you had if you came too close with them with a ship that had a connector on it, it would shoot at you, but it wouldn't shoot at meteors or anything like that. They fixed those. I haven't actually played around with the small ones to see if they've got any problems with those at that stage. I do have some bases that I use them on, but I don't play multiplayer or online games, so I don't have other people showing up, so it's a little bit hard to see if they actually work against personnel. Okay, we covered welders and tools. Doors, well, they're pretty straightforward. Decoys, they can be handy. Oxygen, hydrogen, gravity generators, and artificial mass. No, they don't actually work here on planet. Jump drives, well, they don't work very well. Look, close. Okay, so that's the majority of items anyway. That's a nice basic beginner's arrangement of the things we've covered over the last 16 episodes. Hopefully I've given a nice basic fundamental type starter information for all the different components that you can build and how you use them and the advantages of using them. I recommend for any person from this point, I would certainly suggest just getting in there, playing around with them. There's so many different arrangements and configurations, and as was highlighted in our last episode last night, the limitations are set just by yourself. Basically, if you use your imagination, you can do some amazing things with all these components. I've got so many thoughts, so many ideas, not much time to mess with half of them, but I do have a lot of things that I have done. For example, in my previous stream, CG, I finally got to and through that up on the workshop, Gunslinger. Let me just... This is a basic little fighter. Just put that over here. It's got thrusters, excellent. 6 Gatlings, 2 missile launchers. It does even have the camera. The camera is used for aiming. Actually, I use it mostly for aiming. It gives you the ability to zoom in. Okay, maybe not good. I actually finally got to and actually threw that up on the workshop. There's a couple of things that I've put up there. The pyramids I was showing off last night. The large brown one that was just hovering in the background, that's actually the one that I've got on the workshop. I've kind of held off on putting the other ones up, although I have to admit I've been contemplating putting up both the pyramid base and the large opening white pyramid. I actually went back and tested that after offline, and I removed all mods, so there was no speed mod involved or anything like that, and I didn't test it in a survival environment. I did test it just in creative, but yes, it will actually go to orbit and come back again quite happily. Although even in creative, making planetfall on that heavy planet, the alien world, I ended up landing on its landing platform with like 1 or 2% hydrogen left, so it is very, very hydrogen hungry, but it certainly does launch into orbit and stuff. So a lot of different things you can do, especially when you combine items. And from this point forward, I'd recommend all people, like I said, I hope I've put some information in these 16-part series so far, the beginner's guide, that will get people comfortable with playing around with the different things, and a little bit of base knowledge on what they are, how they work, and how to use them, and as a launch-off point for being able to actually start building their own creations and experimenting with their own ideas and designs. I will continue streaming at this probably same time every day, although I think I'm going to branch into I don't know, maybe just experimental builds or something along those lines. I've got the survival guide that I do before this one, not survival guide, a system survival game that I'm playing, that I stream before this one, but no, we'll see what happens. But for now, that's it. Yeah, I only make ships in creative just to play with ideas. If I come across a nice idea that I like, more often than not, I'll actually recreate that same basic idea in a survival environment. It generally takes on a different angle, or it comes in differently, or I change some of the design when I actually build up in survival. But I use creative to prototype a lot of ideas. Sort of a thought or an idea of a different configuration or an arrangement, and if that seems like it's going to work, then I'll actually build it up in a survival. I actually do like the whole concept of finding the resources and refining the resources and building the components and then welding them up into different objects. That's where I get most of my enjoyment of this game. I find creative is fun at times, but gets very dull and boring very quickly when you've got no limits. And there's no challenge to it because you can do anything. So some things I've done in creative, some things I've done in survival. That world I showed off yesterday is all been done in creative. It was specifically done in creative because I was designing concepts and ideas that led on to other ideas, and so on. I seem to change back and forwards. I've got too many games. I have to periodically keep going through and deleting some and starting new ones. Sometimes I think, I want to do something, and I don't want to use a world that I'm currently in, and I'll create a whole new world, start all over again. I've been designing a space station, modular space station system. It's a tiered, or it's hard to explain it, I guess. Very monolithic type tiered structure. They're all the same basic shape, just with different configurations. Like you've got a refinery configuration, you've got an assembler configuration, you've got a power plant configuration, you've got a CNC command and control type configuration, and they just all snap together and then stack on one on top of the other, and build this station in a very monolithic cylindrical type arrangement. I'm still working on it though. It's still something I'm adding to every so often, and probably eventually I'll throw it on the workshop as a world so that people can have a look at the different things or take what they like from it. But yeah, that's just something I'm playing with at the moment. Anyway, I do have some other things I need to take care of, so look, thanks for dropping by, old Grumpy. By all means, feel free to drop by anytime I'm streaming live. Welcome welcome the chat, welcome the comments, and happy engineering, and I shall talk to you another time perhaps.